Alright, following up The Descent with 2009's The Descent 2, directed by who did it? John Harris. And I was saying at the end of the last video that kind of doesn't make sense with both endings to The Descent, because we see Juno's alive in this, and in both those endings she sees Juno's ghost. So I mean, that I guess you can just argue away that that's a hallucination, that she was so freaked out and guilt-ridden with leaving Juno down there to die that she just sees her ghost. So I just answered my own question. So the other question was going to be, if you go with the full extended ending, Sarah's down there, and then you hear the crawlers. I keep wanting to say creeper now, which if I could forget about Jeepers Creepers for the rest of my life, then I'd be a happy person after these last two movies. But the crawlers are closing in on her, and presumably she gets eaten and killed at the end of the last one, if you go by like that, the full ending. So the fact that she's alive and back and everything, I guess we'll just go with the cut ending and stuff, that she sees Juno's ghost, and then she freaks out and runs out of the car, and then runs up on the person that she, you know what I mean, that she fucking bangs her on the door and everything, and she's all bloodied and stuff, and gets taken to the hospital. So we'll go with that she hallucinated Juno's ghost, and that was just a hallucination brought on by guilt and trauma and everything that she went through, and then she gets found and taken to the hospital. And we have a manhunt going on as they're searching for all the group of friends from the first movie, and they're looking in the wrong place because Juno, as that brilliant woman, decided to not go where she said that they were going to go. And that's why you don't do this, because if they were in the right location and these things were in that cave, at least there would be people looking for them. I mean, they'd all be dead, yeah, but at least they'd find them and shit. They're in a completely different place, and they don't find anything in the original cave that they were supposed to go in. And then Sarah has amnesia. She doesn't remember anything from the last few days. They say in the last 2 days she doesn't remember anything, but then the sheriff and Rios says to her that when she calls out for Jessica, it's like, your daughter is dead. And she's like, no, and starts freaking out. So apparently she forgot shit from longer than 2 days ago, because that happened a year before the first movie, like when they go in the caves, the accident and stuff. So she forgot that too. I guess it's just from like the early stages of her coming out of it and having amnesia, I guess. But the whole setup for this sequel is what brings it down for me a little. Let's take a traumatized woman who could be a suspect, because they find the same blood type that she was covered in, they find out is Juno's blood type. And then Rio says, and half the state could be a positive. Yeah, but she still should be considered a suspect at that point. But they take this traumatized woman, after all that she's been through. I mean, they don't know exactly what happened, and then bring her back to that same cave system while she has amnesia. Dude, that's so fucked up. That's so wrong on so many levels. To bring this woman back to the place that she is clearly traumatized from so bad that she forgot what happened. And this doesn't seem like proper procedure at all. Come on, a sheriff is going to take a patient from a hospital that's, like I said, potentially a suspect, and just bring her along to search the cave, hoping that she'll remember and give directions. Like, oh wait, I remember this wall, like this cave wall with the dent down it. We got to go left here and stuff. Like, she can't even remember that her daughter was dead, yet she's going to be able to point you left or right down there and know where to go. Come on, like, the whole setup for this is so stupid, and no one objects to this. Like Rios, like no one seems to object to this idea that, yeah, we're gonna just take her with us now and just take her down to this cave again. Like, I don't know, man. The whole way they set it up is really fucking silly. It really is. Like, just the setup for this. But the rest of it is pretty decent. Like, this is a decent sequel. I don't mind it at all. And again, Sarah's got to be the first one down there to see a crawler, like just like in the first movie. She gets a glimpse of one again, and then, like I said, asking Sarah for directions. Like she knows where the hell she's going. She doesn't even know where she is at this point. Like, like I said, she doesn't even remember that her daughter is gone. But let's ask her for the directions. Then what the hell? I forget which character it was. Was it Becca or Beth? One of those two. And when they find her body and it's completely eaten and like her old chest cavities like eaten apart and stuff, and then the rat crawls out of her mouth. Awesome stuff. Like that looks really, really cool. And it does look, I mean, it does look pretty damning for Sarah. Like when like when the sheriff starts like starting to think, like I thought immediately that she should be considered a suspect, he immediately starts grilling her and stuff. Like, you're the only person to come out of all your friends and covered in blood and stuff. And then they all have their little debate and stuff and say, all right, we don't have time for this. But it's pretty damning when she starts, she assaults the sheriff. When they're crawling through the cave, she just kicks him in the head, in the face, like 2-3 times, and then gets away, and then like punches Riaz and hits the other guy and just runs off. So she's not helping like herself look any better, like that she's not guilty. Like if anyone was in that situation, they don't know about the creatures down there yet. That whole behavior from her looks like, yeah, this bitch killed all her friends, and for some reason came with us back down here. But not helping her cause by any way by attacking everyone. And then we get another cave-in, which of course, and we have the girl trapped in there, which I couldn't deal. I couldn't deal with that. Within 5 minutes, I'd be freaking the fuck out. Just being in that tiny little space with rocks all around you and there's no way out. Then hearing on the radio, like your leader and stuff, like saying, all right, we're going to move ahead now. Like, stay on channel 1. We'll see you later. Like, are you serious, man? I'd be freaking in that situation. And that's why you don't go into caves. And that's why you couldn't pay me to go into one and do what they do in these movies. Because that's what's going to happen to you. Like, it's going to cave in and you're going to be stuck and you're going to be fucked. And it's going to be your fault. And it's not like even like getting buried alive. Because like no one's doing this to you. This is like Mother Nature giving you like fuck you. Now see if you can get out of here. Survival of the fittest. See if you can survive your way out of this one. Ha ha ha. Like, that's just fucked up. Like, I mean, I know the whole cave-in's caused by the sheriff firing his gun off because he gets scared by the thing. But still, that's still like a big fuck you from Mother Nature. Like, all right, we're going to trap you in this cave and we're going to trap you in between all these rocks and good luck getting out. Like, that's a terrible fate. And the whole scene with the video camera, when they find Holly's video camera and they're going through like all the old footage, and then just the way that scene is shot. Because right at the end of it is when we see from the first movie, when the crawler first shows up, like standing behind one of the girls, and we see that on the video camera, and then they're like, what the fuck is that? And then there's a crawler standing behind them. Really, really cool. I like how they did that. And just seeing Sarah like listening to the videotape that they're playing, like hiding behind the rock and everything. That's cool. That's a really cool scene. And then Dan ends up getting his fingers bitten off, the leader guy, and his throat ripped out, while Sarah's holding Riaz's mouth, like, or for like, saves her fucking life, man. Like, I'd be kissing this woman's feet afterwards. But they do kind of just let Dan die, which Rio says to her. It's like, you just let him die. But it's like, in this situation, and I guess that jogged all her memories back. I mean, the whole amnesia thing is kind of stupid. I mean, I guess it's just the way to get her down there, because, like I said, like, why would anyone go down there again after living through this whole ordeal? So I'm guessing it was just for that, just for a reason to get Sarah down here. But like, we didn't even need Sarah for this sequel. Like, I really don't think we even needed her. And especially Juno, we didn't need her coming back for no reason, basically, just to show that and tell that there's a place that they feed and that there's an exit. That's the only reason Juno's in this movie. And Sarah, I feel like they didn't have to have her either. They could have just had a rescue team go down there looking for all of them. Sarah's missing. Like I say, there's X amount of girls. What is it? 6 girls in the first movie. 5 girls are missing. Or just say 6 girls are missing. They're all missing, and they can't find Sarah yet. And just keep her out of the movie. She really didn't have to be here. And that whole, like I said, the setup for this, and just her with the amnesia that just, I guess, disappears as soon as she hears the videotape conversations. I don't know. I feel like they could have kept her out of this movie completely, and it would have been fine. Like, we didn't need her back here. But we have her back, and it's not really a slide on the movie or anything. But then the trap girl, she's in the safest place possible, actually. If you think about it, like, I mean, as much as I said that situation would blow, being cornered by a bunch of rocks and just being in that small ass space, she's good. She gets attacked later, and stupid things happen to her, but it's like she should have been fine. Just staying there. If they were able to like relay information to her and say like they track by sound, all you'd have to do is just like kick back and take a nap. I mean, yeah, no one's coming back for you. But like, she don't know that. So like, that's all she would have had to do. And she just tried climbing out of that hole. Like when the crawler starts digging its way, trying to get in there, she goes through this hole, like she squeezes through in the roof. Or not the roof, or like the top of the cave-in and stuff. She just tried that when the crawlers are trying to get in. She didn't try that before. Now, I don't remember. There could have been, like, when the crawler was trying to get in, that it lodged something loose and made a bigger opening. I don't remember. I don't think so. And if not, yeah, she just tried that now. She didn't try that as soon as the cave-in happened and was freaking out saying, I gotta get the fuck out of here. I guess no is the answer. Then she climbs out. Then she has the rocket smash into the crawler's head. Looks really cool. And I mean, it's not really hard. Once you know that these things track by sound, not that hard to survive. I mean, like, it's kind of like playing hide and seek with Anne Frank in the attic. It's like, you just don't make a sound. Just sit up against a wall. And if she starts getting close to you and stuff, just like move a little bit. And just keep moving silently around the room. It's pretty much what they have to do here. Just pretend the creatures are a bunch of Anne Franks, and just I can just sit in a corner somewhere and make no sound. That's really all you got to do to beat these things. But that's why I like that this isn't just like a regular monster movie. That it takes place where it takes place, and that's why the setting works so well for these two movies. Is that even if you did do that and just sat around to ignore these creatures, you're still trapped in a fucking cave. And you're still going to starve to death and die. So that the setting plays such a big role into why these two movies work for me the way that they do. And oh, the sheriff's alive, because I completely forgot about him. They show him get scared by the crawler, and he shoots his gun, and that's what causes the cave-in. And then we don't see him for a while after that. I was like, I guess he died. Then he shows back up. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. Because I haven't seen this movie as much as the original. But totally forgot he existed by like a half hour of him not being on screen. So when he finally showed up, I was like, oh yeah, like I forgot we got this guy left. And was it really easier for this guy, the guy who's like in love with the girl who gets trapped in the rocks? The hell was her name? Kath, I think. The guy who's with Kath and like has feelings for her. It was really easier to just throw your walkie-talkie away when like the sheriff is trying to reach them and gives away their position, than to just shut it off and keep it on you, like for later, just in case you might need that. Like, you might need that walkie-talkie at some point. Like, even if they all get murdered and you're the only one left, at least you can be in that cave for a few days and just try all the frequencies, see if you can reach somebody. Seems just like something that you would not want to do. Just throw your walkie-talkie away instead of just shut it off. He tries to shut it off. How hard could it be to shut off a walkie-talkie? It's not hard. It's a twist and it's off. So, I don't know. He should have saved that walkie-talkie. And the whole scene with those two and what the hell, and Sam's body from the first movie hanging from the equipment from the roof. I keep saying the roof. From the top of the cave, right above the chasm and stuff, the abyss that they fall into. That whole scene's awesome. Like with them finding her body and just the effects on her face, and then when she jumps and grabs onto her with the blood that starts pouring out of her mouth onto Kath, and like she's trying to like shield her face from getting all this blood in it. Then the crawler jumps on her, and we see in this one, I can't remember now if it's in the first, but some of them have hair on their heads. So I'm guessing those are differentiating between the males and the females. I don't know if the ones with the hair are the females or the males, or kind of like lions with the mane. They got the most hair. Those are the males. Maybe those are the males, but we know there are male and female, and it makes sense that they got to be breeding and shit down there in order to evolve all these years. And but yeah, we see the one with hair on it. So I wonder if that's a female or male crawler, and ends up jumping on her. And Greg, that's his name, Greg. And he gets attacked and he pulls the drill out and just drills through the crawler's head. That's cool stuff. Then Greg jumps down into jumps on the crawler that's on Kath, and they just both fall into the abyss. I was cracking up. I was laughing so hard at that. Like, I remember that, but like, still, like, it was just hysterical. Just like him jumping, and then just the shot of them both, the crawler and Greg, just falling down into the abyss. I was dying laughing. Like, very, very, very hearty laughter. Then Kath gets mauled to death after she gets to the other side, which, I mean, the whole reason he gave his life for you was so you had time to get across. And she gets across and then immediately starts screaming for him, and then she gets mauled apart by one of the crawlers. Then Rios's video to her daughter, that's some sad shit, man. Like, I have a daughter, and just putting myself in her shoes of having to say goodbye, basically, on a video recording, that sucks. Like, that's some sad shit. And then I like how Sarah says, like, I lost my daughter, and like, save all those things and tell it to her face, because we're not dead yet. Cool on her. And then, oh, get the fuck out of here with Juno being alive. Like, that's so stupid. Her whole inclusion, like I said, in this movie is no reason. Like, just for her to have another tie to the first movie, and just for them to get the information that there's a possible way out where they feed. That's it. Like, that's the only reason she came back. And now she's like a fucking ninja, and she can take out like 5 of these things at once, and get the fuck out of here. She's been down there for 2 days, and it wasn't her leg all fucked up. Like, she got stabbed in the leg with a pickaxe, but she's like cartwheeling around. I mean, she's not cartwheeling, but like, still, she's all over the place. And she's like running, and like no limp, no nothing. And it's only been 2 days, mind you. So she's been down there, and she's acting like a crazy person too. Like, kind of like Lance Preston in Grave Encounters too, when they find him. But he's been in that asylum for like 10 years. So you can see someone being that far gone. She's been down there for 2 days. Fucking, what a pussy, fucking. It's been 2 days. Fucking, get back to me when you're down there for 2.5 months. See how you act then. And here comes the fucking rat. Always gotta bitch about rats in horror movies, because they always do the same thing. They see the what the hell's her name? Rios. That's it. Almost Dios. Rios and Sarah, when they're crawling through the cave, and then Sarah sees the crawler at the other end, and then the rat just makes his entrance, and he's crawling towards them. I said, don't do it. I said, don't fucking do what I know you're about to do. And the rat crawls right into Rios, and she screams and alerts the crawler to her location. I can't stand rats in these movies. The rats are soon going to get a replacement, just like Silverback Gorilla jump scares came into play. So they're getting a replacement real soon, when I can think of what would be better than these stupid rats that are always scarier than the main threat that these people are hiding from, whether it be a serial killer or crazy monsters in a cave, whatever. The rat's always scarier. Make a killer rat movie. Fucking, if you really want rats in your movie, do something that circles around rats and has no bigger threat, because it will infuriate me every single time that I see in any of these movies. A rat scare somebody and them going, and fucking giving their location away. when there's a much bigger threat to be worried about. Just and fucking swipe that rat and just swat it away. I don't know. I'm not getting too into that since I bitched about it enough. Then we get a crawler shithole. Like, we really needed to have it shown to us where these things shit. Apparently, and they're bathing around in the shit, like, and they're fighting with one of the crawlers. And Rios ends up taking the hairpin and stabbing it through the neck. Looks really cool. Then the whole comment of like, what is this that we're waiting in right now? I mean, we didn't need the whole, I mean, it's funny, but we didn't need the whole scene of the crawler actually coming and just pointing its ass off the cliff and shitting down into the shithole pool water. And then just walking away. Like, it's funny as hell. But we really didn't need that to know, yeah, they're waiting in all their shit right now. But funny, though, nonetheless. Then the sheriff handcuffs himself to Sarah. Are you fucking serious? Like, this is not the situation you want to be tethered to somebody else for any reason. But he just handcuffs her for some reason. I don't know. Fucking just get that cool scene we get right after this, when he ends up falling and almost into the abyss, and she would have flew right over with him. I mean, come on, look at the size of her and look at the size of the sheriff. Just the weight alone and the pain of being yanked with handcuffs on your wrist, she'd be flying right over the edge with him. But just to not think of that and fucking throw that to the wind. Cool scene, though. Like, especially with the gore and stuff. With Rios hacking away at the sheriff's arm, his wrist. So the crawlers and the shots of the crawlers coming up from that abyss and like trying to eat him. And then they like frantically, she starts like chopping harder and harder. And then finally, like, the crawlers get to the sheriff and all three of them fall down. Awesome stuff. Really cool effects. And then his hand's just hanging there, like, in the handcuffs still. Like, really cool. Then the whole scene with at the end with the feeding area. Like, that's tense. Like, just walking through there and having to, like, it makes you wonder, like, how good their hearing actually is. Because you're still making noise, no matter what. No matter how, like, softly you place your feet or where you're walking, you're still making some sort of sound. And they don't hear that. So I don't know what, like, how, you know what I'm trying to say, like, how great their sense of hearing is. But we know it's very good, but it doesn't sound, like, phenomenal from what we see in these two movies. Because you can just, like, inch your way slowly around them and be fine. So who knows how good their hearing actually is. But just walking through a room in that cave with a whole bunch of them feeding and stuff, and then the one brings down the deer or whatever it was from above ground, which makes me wonder, because they see in the first movie, they see the deer or the dead carcass of the deer just laying in the ground. So did they just kill that one, and then for some reason, like, they didn't bring that carcass down into the cave to eat? I don't know. That doesn't make sense to me now that I look back on it. But really tense scene. And then the guy reaches up and grabs Juno because he's still alive, and that alerts them all that they're there in their feeding area. And then Juno ends up dying, and I say, so fucking what? Fucking like, she had no part in this movie. Like I said, there's no reason for her to be back, and except for pointing them to this area to escape. And then she just dies. Like, no reason for her to be back doing her ninjutsu crawler moves at all. And then Sarah sacrifices herself and screams, and all the crawlers end up coming and assumably ripping her apart. And then Rios escapes through the hole. And I completely forgot this happens, but it was real random because I didn't remember who it was for a second. And she's trying to call for help when she's in the woods after getting out of this cave system, out of the hole in the ground. And then just the old dude from earlier who sent them down in the elevator just whacks her and knocks her out with the shovel. Then just drags her over to the hole that she climbed out of. And they come up and take her, and she gets eaten. So this guy knows they exist, Why he's helped feeding them? I don't know. What a random ending, man. Like when this happened, like I said, I didn't remember it. So I was like, oh yeah, maybe that's right. She gets out because Sarah sacrifices herself for her so she can see her daughter again, and so real nice and sweet. And then I was waiting for something to happen, and then this guy comes out of nowhere with a shovel. I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? And I'm like, oh, it's the guy with the from the beginning that we haven't seen the whole movie. And apparently that's what he does. He feeds these things. I don't know. There's no explanation for why he would have any reason to feed these creatures or look after them or whatever is implied that he's doing here. But he does, and we've never got a Descent 3, and good. Some franchises, like I say, just deserve an entry or two. You don't need to go milking them. And these two movies work very well with each other. Do I like this one as much as the original? Nowhere near close. But it's a decent sequel. Like, it's nowhere near as bad as I've heard people talk a lot of shit about this movie. And it's not bad. Like, it's not a bad sequel at all. So I don't know why some people hate on the sequel so much, but it gives you more like claustrophobic set pieces with the caves. It gives you more awesome gore, more cool effects on the creatures. The characters aren't as memorable, yeah, but good sequel, all in all. So, alright, guys, I will have some more stuff up tonight, and I will see you guys then. Take care.